Portobello Parks and Recreation Commission meeting. Time is 7:02. Date is Thursday, June 16th. Citizens communication. The commission welcomes comment on parks and recreation items. Public comment that is made on an item that is not on the published agenda will only be heard by the commission. No formal action, discussion, deliberation, or comment will be made. Each person providing public comment will be limited to 3 minutes and will be asked to state his or her name and address for the public record. Do we have anybody who wants to speak?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. We're going to skip over to we need to do the minutes first. Item 3A, approval of the minutes. Discuss and consider action to approve the minutes from the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting on May 19th. Everybody get a chance to read them? Any comments,
Yes.
corrections? No? All right. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll set a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Jennifer. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Carol. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Now we will skip over to item 5A. Discuss and consider Parkland dedication Fairfield planned unit development, multifamily.
Okay. Good evening, Parks Commission. How are y'all doing?
Great. Hot.
Y'all complained when I have it cold in here. So I should have made it cold. So before you today is a Parkland dedication. It's the Fairfield Crossing Plan Development Unit. The proposed development is 11.84 acres. It's got a maximum density of 414 dwellings. It's got a mix of retail space along the frontage of 130, and then it's got townhomes and multifamily. Their Parkland dedication would be 5.47 acres. They are requesting fee in lieu, which would result in $238,047, and then they'd have a Parkland dedication requirement as well, which would equal $205,344. It is close proximity to Geneva. Y'all see the mouse? So this is Fairfield Crossing right here. This is the development we're talking about. This is Geneva's Park. So this is parkland that we currently own, and it is adjacent to that. It's very close, and they are recommending fee in lieu, and we're ultimately, as staff, agreeing with that due to its close proximity. If we can go a little further into what they're planning to do out here. So you can see, once again, the orientation. This was that green space, that drainage area that would connect to Geneva's Park. You can see that they have multi-storage, mixed residential and frontage up there, and then you can see some of the townhomes in the back. They have a buffer space. They do have some on-site park amenities that they're not getting any credit for, but they are providing for the residents that live in that area. They have a space here. They obviously have a couple of buffers from the other houses, and then they have an amenity center here with a pool and a dog park. And a little bit more detail, you can see the dog park and the pool section here. You can see some of the green space and some of the buffer zones that they're doing with their detention. And they even have some sight lines on what that looks like, their intersections. They are here on site. Ultimately, we are making a recommendation due to the close proximity that we would take fee in lieu instead of the 5.4 acres of land. And if y'all had any questions, the developers are here and willing to answer any questions that you have.
Can you go back to one more? Yeah. So what is the space of the buffer zone, which you said is a detention or retention?
I will have to sit up here and answer those questions because it's mic'd. I'm gonna let the developer answer all those.
Okay.
Both of y'all could come up if you like. There's chairs for both of you.
Sure.
Y'all can sit on either side and just answer any questions they have.
Hi, Kate Kaniski with Jenner Group. I'm here with Zach Johnson. He's with the developer Fairfield.
Hello.
So I believe the question is what is going in the buffer area? And so the two rectangles that you can kind of see on the right-hand side, that is 65 feet of water quality and detention facilities. And then that smaller greener rectangle in the middle there is a private park area that's gonna be an amenity for the residents.
And then Kate, you still also have a 10-foot vegetative buffer in between the property line and the back of that detention as well. So you have kind of a short planted vegetative buffer, and then the design on those systems is to have a grass bottom to it, so it's designed to be green. And then again, you kind of have open space amenities that what we have there, I can't say is necessarily planned in stone per se, but it's going to be different outdoor amenities that are going to serve the residents area.
I think y'all captured that on this photo.
Yeah,
It might be tough to
just
see, but y'all can see the
new
examples.
images and things of what we're planning right now.
If you could go back one, did you?
I was gonna ask, to go back to what was the exact fee in lieu of?
It's 238,000.
Is there, and it'd be in exchange for like the 5.47 acres, right? Is there any examples in Pflugerville where you could get an acre of land for $238,000?
It would be tough in some areas, obviously. Right now, and we're going through that master plan process, and we'll be changing that fee in lieu of number in the future. Right now, it's $46,350 an acre, so they have the opportunity to pursue that, and it's obviously lower than what they would pay on the market. Totally get that. Now they definitely have floodplain and other stuff that they would have to mitigate, even if they were purchasing that. Ultimately, it'd be a shade under $500,000 for fee in lieu and parkland development, which would go to that park zone. It could either go to Geneva's park or another park in that zone, whether we're connecting trails or other parkland.
How would it connect up to Geneva's now? Is there a trail, an existing trail?
There's not an existing trail. The money that we receive could be used to pursue that.
To connect it? Mm-hmm. And would there be connectivity at the back there for the residents to walk?
There seemed to be on the next, if you go that way, yeah, up there,
So would they go through the middle? How would these residents get to Geneva's Park?
yeah.
I would say at this point, the likely pathway would be vehicular. I don't know that you've got a pedestrian pathway because this parcel backs up to single-family homes without a break. The only break that is there is that pathway, which Shane, I believe you pointed out. And so, if there's a pursuit of a capital project there, I don't think that's included in our proposal.
It's not in their proposal. We could definitely work potentially with them while they're working on their construction, or outside of them with some sort of pedestrian access gate or something that would allow them to hit that drainage, and then we'd have to work with, putting a trail in our drainage corridor as well.
Is this a gated community? So fence all around, or?
Yeah, so no, it's not going to be gated all
Okay.
around. I don't believe the city allows for the controlled access there, and so it'll be publicly accessible. And again, we've got the mixed use component up front, and so the retail is going to be open, obviously, to the community, ideally to draw people in.
Where is there a retail? Oh, mixed
In the-
use on the front. I
Yeah,
see.
on the frontage up there.
So you envision retail on the bottom and then 3 stories of residential?
Yes, that's correct. Residential on top of the retail, and then if you also just notice, there's that driveway cut through to the north that allows sort of vehicular access in and out of the site into the existing retail to the north of us.
And I might have done a poor job of setting this up. Gold's Gym would be, and those types of things would be where the
Yes.
word Fairfield is. It would be up in this section over here. So it's along 130 north.
Just south of Gaddis.
Yeah.
Could you move, I think it's 2 slides that way, there. What are those 3 rectangles in front of the green space?
I would tell you those are conceptual layouts right now. We have sort of a spice garden there. We've got gathering spaces, outdoor kitchens. Typically we're thinking about creating communal spaces in an apartment community like ours. We want to be able to make sure that there's places for people to be able to go when they're outdoors. I would probably say there's going to be a dog function in that larger green space area. Shane mentioned we're showing a smaller dog function in that main courtyard up towards the middle, but we would also probably have a duplicative function there in the back. We are limited as far as our ability to put structures in some of those setbacks. So that area, as you see, is mainly green right now as a result of that. And so most of our trellises, seating areas, and dining spaces and things would all be up to in those three rectangles there. And then I think you had mentioned this, but the smaller boxes you see kind of north and south of that, those are designed to be two-story townhomes to buffer the single-family neighborhood and conceal the bulk of the buildings behind it. Yeah, those are all townhomes, correct.
So it's 75 feet from property line to where the townhomes are?
65.
65 and 10?
And then a 10-foot barrier.
Yeah, about 75 feet, I believe. It will be slightly longer than that or larger than that.
I guess there's some back of house stuff too, I guess.
Yeah, we have some private yards
there's a little
back there,
bit
and
there,
so
but-
yes, but just
More than 10 feet?
yeah, close enough for
8 feet, yeah. 5 feet.
sure.
Okay. My biggest concern is I would, if we can make it, if we can mandate that they have connectivity, pedestrian connectivity to a trail to get to Geneva's, I'd prefer if we can,
All we could mandate on our end was we could request a pedestrian
yeah.
fence. We would have to do the part of the connection. We couldn't have them build anything on the drainage side. We could obviously pursue that, and we'd have the money to do that. But just, if you're asking for something here where that sidewalk or that parking lot ends, and there's some green space here where there's some sort of pedestrian.
That green space is probably being a little more liberal with the plan. There, I mean, with that drainage area there, I think we would have to work with the drainage department to see what can be done, because that's really an outfit. Again, not to get too much detail, but going directly north of this is the detention facility for the retail center. Their entire detention is directly adjacent to our lot, and it feeds through that area. And so I can't speak today as to whether or not it's feasible for us to build that pedestrian connection through there. We can certainly explore that. I just can't say that it's something that we could ever commit to until we've worked with their department.
If you were able to do it, you have no problem adding a pedestrian gate at the end of the property.
Well, I didn't gate. No,
Yeah.
not at all.
Yeah, because that's my concern. People shouldn't have to get into a car to go to a park that's less than a mile away, right? You would want them to be able to walk their dog to the park or walk their kids to the park or whatever.
At least walk through the drainage ditch
Yeah.
to get to the path.
Yeah.
I think we would love to be able to have a trail constructed there with the money that we're dedicating, but that's really
That's
out of
not
our
up to y'all,
purview.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
And we're doing some really cool improvements that I'll be talking to you about in the future with Geneva Park. We have a playground here, and the other offshoot drainage that goes up somewhere maybe right around here is Star Ranch Apartments, which we saw about a year and a half ago. And they have obviously started development and everything up there, construction. And so we have some funding there that we're doing a loop trail, a pavilion. We're adding a playground to
In
the current
Geneva's?
in Geneva's
Okay.
part. We're replacing the old playground and adding more play structure to it and having an ADA piece. So it would be a really great park at that point to use some of this funds to work on trying to connect a trail through that drainage.
Would the fee and lieu pay for that to connect up? I don't have a good feel for
Yeah, we're looking
what it
at,
would be.
I mean, right now, a flat piece of trail is costing me anywhere from, it's costing me $200 and probably $50,000 for a mile. If we did DG,
The
which,
decomposed granite?
yeah, which would make a lot of sense in some ways due to some of the drainage impact, and what impervious cover might be or not be required. We'd have to go through planning on some of this, but DG would be cheaper. So I do think there would be enough funds to make a trail connection there if that was the desire.
Do we know the distance from the property to Geneva's? Like how long of a trail?
Well, you've got home lots here that are quarter acre lots.
So it's probably 600, 700 feet.
Yeah. So it's definitely, It's
So
less than a
less
half.
than a mile.
Yeah, absolutely less than a mile.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably less than a half mile.
Okay.
Might be right at it. Yeah, because there's some. You're actually going from the top to almost middle of the property when you finally get to it. But
Has the city ever used, like the cement blocks the drainage can go through instead of, would that be a possibility?
I'm
'Cause
sure
you
we have
still
culverts in
wanna
our
keep the
park
drainage.
system. I don't know if we can count that as a trail. It's definitely not ADA. If people are jumping culverts, they're not going to be able to do that in wheelchair and other capacity. So whatever we do, we'd have to think of something like that.
Anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns?
For the and this, I know some are new. Basically, this stops here, and then it goes to planning and zoning, and it's going to go to planning and zoning with staff's recommendation and either y'all's recommendation as well, or y'all not making a recommendation, and it'll go to planning and zoning with that, and they'll have the opportunity to act on it as well.
I'm glad that they're being sensitive to this abutment of the single-family residential. And realistically, you've got 75, probably 80 feet before, and then with the townhomes.
And
So I'm
that's
glad
townhouse,
that that
not
was
apartment,
thoughtful,
yep.
yeah.
We have held meetings with the neighbors here as well as part of our public outreach. So some of this all came as a result of, or some of the plan changes, I should say, have come as a result of our discussions with them.
It was a largely positive response. We already have one letter of support from a neighbor as well that was submitted to the mayor. So we're very pleased that we were able to make them happy.
So this drainage, this land here has some drainage as well, and there are some avenues in between these homes, and so there could be something where, depending on what happens here, we take any potential development dollars here plus here, and maybe the sidewalk actually just goes through here, right? So there are other ways
Just a way for them
to
to.
connect.
Yeah,
Yep, absolutely. It might not have to be the drainage. Drainage might not be the right
sure.
avenue, depending on how much water that takes on and what that impact is. But depending on what development is here, there could be just something here, and I think there are one or two openings between there. Yeah, and so this is just open land right now, but we could work with whoever had this property ultimately, that there would be a connection point with those. So those are possibilities as well.
I'd like to make a motion that we say it's a good idea, I'm not sure that's the right wording,
Just
with a request that all possibilities of connection to Geneva's Park be put into play.
sure.
All right.
Motion to approve the staff's recommendation with any future pedestrian access.
Yes, with the preference for
Thank
that.
you for rewording. Thank you.
Second.
Yes, okay, thank you. All in favor say aye.
Uh,
Any opposed? All right, thank you, motion carries.
Thank y'all.
I will tell you that I'm not typically a fan, and Shane will tell you this. a
I've
fan
already
of
told
Lou.
them. Already told them.
But I like the fact that the way that you have it set up, I don't think it's gonna be a detriment to the single-family residential. And I appreciate the fact that you were thoughtful of that and did have some space and some barrier for that, so thank you.
Absolutely. Well, we
Like
build
Shane-
with the hope that they actually are successful and good places to live. So.
Like Shane said, you get to enjoy the perhaps off number there. So
Yeah,
congratulations.
Oh,
Hopefully
thank you.
we're tightening that up by the next time we talk to somebody.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it coming. Yep.
All right, item 4A, director's updates, including information about the project status report and upcoming special events. Shane.
Okay. So, director's report this for this month. So we've got summer fun camp. It's week 2, going great guns. Kids are having a lot of fun. We've got esports, board games, card games, Dungeons and Dragons, all the normal programming we're doing. Obviously not stressing, but it's definitely more taxing on our program staff to be running camp and these night activities, but we've got a great crew and they're making sure all these things are getting done. Our Firecracker Festival is upcoming soon. It will be at Typhoon, Texas again this year. You'll have the opportunity to park at Costco, Hendrickson High School, or Stonehill parking lot. Or you have the opportunity to book a ticket at Typhoon and stay out there all day and watch the fireworks right over the top of you. So some cool opportunities there. We have our floating movie. This will be our second one. We're watching Sing 2. Had great turnout with Luca. That was the night that Junior and I flew back into Colorado. I went and checked on him. It went really well, and apparently it was going great guns until like 2 minutes before the movie ended. Staff had to run over and grab the screen. A big windstorm came through and almost knocked it all over at the very end. So, but the kids had a blast, and staff made sure that everything was going on time. And so this will be our second one at Scott Mincer Pool, and we're doing Fun with Kites. Sheila, do you have any more info on this kite event?
I do not,
Okay.
but I do want to say that the Flying Armadillo mini disc golf is going to be postponed until later on due to low
We shouldn't have a lot of people sign
low
up.
registration.
So this Flying Armadillo is in San Marcos, so we were going to take people out there, and we had some folks that were interested, but it didn't work for them on that weekend, and I think we ended up having one or two sign up, and we don't want to take
How
a
many
bus
are you
out.
wanting to take?
We're taking a 15-passenger bus, so it would be great to take 10 or 12, because we'd have a couple staff as well. But I think if we'd hit 5, we'd have taken them as a group, but we had 2, I think, commit, so we'll postpone, see if we can hit a better time where it works for everybody. Our seniors still going strong. Eddie's taking them to a restaurant in Georgetown, the Lampasas Museum, and the Sports Hall of Fame in Waco. As we said, the mini golf has been postponed, and then there's kayaking at Lake Austin next month. It's adult only, and then our farmers market is going on every Tuesday, 3 to 7 p.m. at Heritage Park. We have the pool out there going right now. We've got snow cone vendors or bounce houses, or Eddie's got something different every week, and then we've got the Heritage House Museum open as well. So if you're looking for something fun to do on a Tuesday night, there's a lot of stuff going on out there at Heritage Park. Next, our Music in the Park, the Selfless Lovers. That's quite the name, and there's no admission. Bring family. You can bring lawn furniture out there, enjoy the evening. They're going to be June 24th, 7:30 to 9:30 at Pfluger Park. We will not have one in July. Then we'll start back up in August with the Jesse Stratton Band, and then September 30th with Bitty Bitty Mondo. So we've got a couple permanent events happening this weekend. So we've got the Pflugerville Pride Festival that is happening noon to 8 downtown. And Junior, am I right on that time?
I believe,
Yeah.
12/7.
12/7.
Oh, the signs say 1 to 6.
Yeah.
Maybe our shift's 12.
Maybe our shift's It's important to know that we're not planning this event. We're just permitting it. So we're out there working it, but we're just making sure that it's safe. That restrooms are out there. That the porta johns and the stage is set up and everything. And then Juneteenth is Sunday. That one's 12 to 8, I believe, at Wells Point Park. So we have Juneteenth on Sunday and Pride Saturday. Our crews are going to be out there working both events. Going to be flipping the stage after Pride on Saturday night, driving it out and getting it ready for Juneteenth on Sunday. So staff's working really hard on this event. Well, Caitlin and Larry will be working EOC positions. Junior will have a crew of 4 or 5 guys both days. Junior and I'll be out there as well. So if you're out and you see us, please say hey. Looking forward to making sure those events go on without a hitch. Rec Center update. 2 Fridays ago, we had a short list of 4 Rec Center design firms, and we have selected one, and we're working on negotiating right now with them. We'll be going to council on the 28th of this month for approval to get started with FMGA and BRS. Architects always just use initials, I guess. But FMGA and BRS to start the public engagement process and working on the program for the rec center. We've got a trail gap update as well as master plan, all this stuff I think I have slides for. So trail gap, part of your 2020 bond. These are the first two segments of the trail improvement program. It's happening at it's the Heritage Loop. This section is actually that Saxony Trail. It used to have DG, but really it was mud based and it would wash out pretty severely. And so this is going to get concrete. So we're excited for these residents here. These two trail segments will get concreted, and these will be the first two sections of the improvement bond. This is going to take 2 to 4 weeks to complete. We've got 8 trail segments in total that the construction company will be moving on from one to another, and we'll continue to update them as they finalize their schedules.
I have to admit, I'm glad this is big, because when I saw it on the web, I kept going, but I only see one.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of mud and mud puddles. And
Yeah, a lot of
water
wash out
issues,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's a neighborhood that honestly has been really patient with the city over the 20 or 30 years that it's been established that anytime there's a heavy rain, that's a really tough area to walk on. So we're excited to get them some concrete out there for sure.
There needs to be a pedestrian cross, like a blinking light, like there is at Applewood and Railroad, because I don't know how many times people fly down Rocky Creek and almost hit us crossing.
They do. I actually, you're right. We probably could do something. Fortunate, it comes at an angle, so it almost gives more people a chance to see you if you're walking, versus trying to just frogger across. I don't know. I've always felt like it just prepares people a little bit more.
Well, there's a walkway now,
Yeah, there
but
is.
people just, especially at night, they don't see you, and
Sure. That's something we could look into. It probably won't be a part of this project, but it's probably something we could look into for Parkland dedication or some sort of park improvement.
yeah, that'd be nice. I didn't know if that was a streets thing or.
I imagine streets would find a way that it was a parks thing.
Okay.
Probably be better if we just work on it. Master plan update. We're super excited about this master plan. One of the cool things that working with a firm that doesn't know us very well, they get to know us, right? And so it's not a firm that had heard of us or been around. It was an Austin area, and they kind of knew. So they've enjoyed coming out here and getting to know us. We've definitely enjoyed getting to know them. And we kind of challenged them to try to. We as a city are growing very fast. And we as a city, due to growing very fast, are talking to our citizens a lot of different times. Through a drainage master plan, through a transportation master plan, through, hey, do you want this bond program, through how are our services, the citizens get engaged a lot. And so something as important as what we're going to do in our park system next 10 years, we want the citizens to see and not just be like, oh, this is the same thing I've done 18 times. And so they're using colors, as you can see with the PowerPoint presentation. You can see our blue to green color spectrum that we really use. That's obviously our brand, and it's great for Parks and Rec, right? Blue and green are great colors if you're a Park and Rec department. They're definitely worse colors to work with. But we have secondary colors in our branding, and to be quite honest, a lot of people don't use them. We'll just go with blue and green. We hit the high notes and we keep moving forward. And so we really challenged them to do something different. And so first they went with this old school varsity font, almost reminds you of like a letter jacket or something. Mm-hmm. And second, they use this mustard yellow, and it comes off, it's a little more teal than I think this screen's showing it, but it's a baby blue / teal color. They work really great together, first of all. And second of all, I think it's just something that's tougher for you to look over. It's just tougher for you to pass up on. Right. And so it's kind of been what we're trying to use as our color palette for this master plan process. If you see us engage the community, we're probably going to use this just to kind of separate ourselves, just to draw someone, to give them a second chance to see, oh, what is that again? Okay, I'm willing to click on that. So we're excited about the colors. We're excited about the font. These are postcard options right now that it would be front and back. That would have a Spanish and English version that we'd be able to hand out potentially maybe at a big event like 4th of July, get people excited. If they're sitting in their captured audience, there'll be a QR code. There's also a website that we're working on that they'll be able to go to as well. One of the other things we're doing that we're trying to do something different, try to be pretty creative. So Candy Chang is she's an engagement specialist. For lack of she probably has 10 titles, but about 10 years ago, she got really popular with doing this, where she would take blighted areas of city, of different cities she was working in, and she'd put up plywood, and she'd do the chalk color paint on it, and then she would say, "Before I die, I want to see blank," or "I wish this was blank," and it was a way to engage the community on what do you want this blighted area to be, or what do you want to see next. Working with Junior and Jose from our park staff, what we're working on is we're going to build some sort of similar wall. We're going to put it on a trailer. And so that trailer is going to travel around at 4th of July events and pool tournaments, and we're going to park it in random spots in our park system on different targeted dates. And you're going to see this chalkboard painted trailer that says something similar, not "Before I Die," obviously. It'll say something like "Parks make me feel blank," or "I want my next park to do blank." And it's superficial at a top level because it's just one question that they're answering. And to be honest, if you get that much comments on it, we're probably taking a photo and we're excited we engaged it. We're probably not tracking everything that's said. But the idea is to park that next to our engagement booth. So when people are drawn in by that and they walk over to it and like, "Oh, I'd love to fill out, what I want my next park to be like, or what parks mean to me." Then we say, "Hey, we're actually doing an engagement for the master plan. We're giving out a free Yeti for, someone that fills out the plan and submits their info." And that's our way to hook them, right? Because if they see a city booth, they'll just, walk 30 yards around it, the whole time. But if they have some sort of engagement piece, maybe they'll come up to it, and then maybe we're able to maybe capture them a little bit more and get a better idea of what the public wants. We're also working with our master plan consultant to be working with some restaurants that, and this isn't set in stone, but we'll choose a Mexican food restaurant, and one night we'll have chips and queso and non-alcoholic drinks night. And if you show up between 7 and 9, you can eat for free in this section. We're just asking you to fill out the 12 question survey or whatever. Or it could be a barbecue restaurant that we do something with. And so we're trying to engage the community in a couple different ways. Obviously, it'll be social media. We want to engage during events as well. But we know that not everybody in this community is on social media. We know not everybody in this community goes to our events. And so we want to have very unique ways to engage people. I want to stand up in front of council and admit that I know that I couldn't reach every one of our 70,000 residents, but we gave it our best shot. We really did.
No, I think that's a great idea.
Well, good. With that
Let's see
approval,
how many
we will
times
move
I can
forward.
write dog parks
That's
on
right.
there.
That's right. We're
If
going
you
to create a
see
little
whole
code.
things, it's not me.
Change your handwriting.
Oh, yeah,
and-
left hand, upside down, toes, yeah.
We'll know who the dog park person was.
You
We
won't
know.
miss me. Yeah.
We already know. Next up is we've been working on park signage. If you've gone and visited our 33 parks, you will see a variety of park signs. You will see some signs that look like the Pfluger Park sign. That's the sign we're going to. You'll see some signs that are looks like a farmer took a dead cow and placed it somewhere in the Creekside sign, and it's some old cow skeleton. You'll see parks that don't even have a sign, and we've had to argue with folks in the community that that's not their HOA park. That's literally a city park. We just don't have it marked. And so, working through the CIP process, we've been working on making sure every park in our park system has a sign, that everyone knows that it's standard. Everyone knows that's a Pflugerville Park System sign. And so we've got 12 that are coming on right now in this fiscal year. We came to y'all last year with the CIP. It was $50,000. And to be quite honest, we didn't think we would get 10, to be honest. We thought we'd get a little less. And this company, Southwestern Monument, if you ever are purchasing a sign for yourself, I don't know why you would, but please patronize them, because they gave us a rate that they've honored the rate that we've used in previous years. So we were expecting inflation to kick it from what we thought would be from 10 to 8, and we're actually getting 12 year one. So we're super excited to be working with them. These will be out, Junior, next couple weeks.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll start 2 or 3 weeks from now and finish 3 weeks after we start. So hopefully, I'd say mid-August.
So you'll see the 12 that we have right now. We have 8 left that we will get to starting in October. We'll we'll reach back out to Southwest Monument and, bless you. And we'll try to get our last 8 and, we'll try to get them going. And then moving forward, for example, if that developer had come in and and they had a park, they're like, oh, we're gonna build Shane Mice Park. You would say, part of, your responsibility is to do the sign. Now that we've standardized it, we don't anticipate us having to buy a bunch of new signs. It'll come as a part of the development.
So this 20 will give us a sign in all our parks? That's
Yep. Yeah, because
Very nice.
James Jimenez and Eileen had done some, but they didn't paper anything up. And basically, when new ones came on or they were replacing a playground, they would kind of go ahead and do that. But it was nothing superficial, and there wasn't necessarily a plan. And so we basically used the CIP to aggressively catch this up.
Yeah, very nice.
So the next is the playground replacement. You can see this is a internal document that we use. I know it might be a little tough to read, but basically you can see we have every park, its address, the current year, which is just for our math when we just for the formula. Every year that we change this number will raise as well. And so we've got a playground that's 28 years old. We got a playground that's 21 years old. We got a playground that's 20 years old. I've got 15 playgrounds over 15 years old. 15 years is the industry standard for when you replace a playground. Our average in our park system right now is our average age of playgrounds is almost 12 years old. So what that means is when new residents come in and they buy, they're either looking at old homes and they're looking at old playgrounds and established communities, or they're buying a new ones and then having to build their own, right? And so we want a whole playground system that looks that no matter where you go, new development or old development, that you can find a quality playground that's new, it's vibrant, it's fun, and something that people can feel comfortable playing on. And so first of all, you can see that we have an aggressive plan to try to replace them all. In fact, we even mark the day it comes in, we mark that 15 years from now it needs to be replaced. But what we're excited to tell y'all about right now is we had $300,000 in the CIP for 2 playgrounds. Geneva's Park, which we were talking about, because we had Star Ranch funding, we were able to take that off the CIP. So now that's not part of that $300,000. That allows another one to move up into the mix. And we were able to get a great cost on these 2 playgrounds specifically. And we were able to get Secluded Willow in as well. So we're actually getting 4 playgrounds in when we thought we might get 2. 3 from the CIP, 1 from Parkland dedication dollars. And it's going to take our average age of playgrounds from almost 12 to almost 9, a little under 9. So we're very excited about that. And we have $300,000 going into October, and we'll continue to push forward. And we've got Parkland dedication and Cambridge Heights, Cambridge Estates, and Zola. So through development in those areas. So we might see 3 of those playgrounds, which you would see, let's see here. Cambridge Heights would be next on the list. So that would come off CIP. So Hanging Rock would be the first, Mountain Creek would be the second. Secluded Willow is getting done. And the reason we jumped Cambridge Heights is Secluded Willow is such a small playground. We were able to do it for pretty cheap. We wouldn't have been able to do any of the other ones. It's in the Falcon Point neighborhood. Okay. It's right across from Costco. If you look across from Costco, there is the water fountain and a really small playground with the pavilion. That's Secluded Willow. So we're hoping to maybe get 4 or even more next year, 1 or 2 or 2 or 3 through CIP again, and then potentially maybe up to 3 through Parkland dedication dollars. So if you offload 3 more, we get down to 7.7, and if you offload 3 more, we get down under 6 or under 7 into the 6. So in a couple of years, we could have really flipped the age of our playground. So we're super excited about y'all supporting that, and obviously council approving it as well. So Moose Park's 28 years old. Withers just 20. Secluded Willow's 19. Those are coming off. Geneva's 21. And, next year we'll have Cambridge Heights will now be 20. Hanging Rock will be 20. Mountain Creek will be 20. So we'll have 3 in the 20s that'll be coming off hopefully as well. So.
May I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
Is there any priority for shading unshaded parks currently, or are they, if they are unshaded now, they stay unshaded in the future?
That's a great question. So part of before you got on the board, we realized pretty quickly we had some old parks, we had parks with no signage, and we had a bunch of parks with no shade. So through our CIP process, we are doing $300,000 in playground replacements a year, $50,000 in sign replacements until we get to that, and $65,000 in shade replacements, which get us about 2 shade replacements a year.
Okay.
Our strategy with that has been to come down to some of the ones that are newer, because a shade on a playground can extend the life of the playground about a quarter. So we could get a quarter more out of the playground if it's covered. And obviously it's healthier for the kids that are playing on those. And so we're aggressively trying to replace the oldest playgrounds in our park system. And when we replace, part of that 300,000 always includes shade. So all 4 of those playgrounds that you see will include shade.
Okay.
But then on top of that, we're working from the bottom up, the newest playgrounds, to try to get shade over the top of them, because they're y'all's most recent investment.
Yeah.
And we're trying to cover them. And they're also the ones that kids want to play on, because they're the newest ones. And so a mom or a dad will Google, oh, that park's fairly new, we'll go there. And so they're getting a lot more used to maybe secluded willow as well. So we want to make sure that all new playgrounds will come with shade, and any of your new investments we're trying to get covered with shade as quick as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Other things to update you. So I talked to you a while back about the pecan tree that's like a bazillion years old, and it's old enough that Parks Wildlife and the Forestry Service are shocked. It's one of the biggest pecan trees they've ever seen. And we went ahead and had it trimmed. You can see the difference here in the trimming, and moving forward, we're just going to have them professionally trim it. It gets to a point where it's technically way farther, it's not heart surgery now, it's something beyond heart. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that's a super delicate process of what they can and can't take off to keep that thing alive. And I definitely don't want this thing to fade under my time as a director, right? So we want to make sure we do it right. So it's part of the budget moving forward that it'll be trimmed professionally. It'll also have a lightning rod that they will put in, lightning detection system that'll try to save it if it's exposed to lightning. We're working on that for the fall as well. We're working with the Barnett Tree company. So it's pretty cool, some of the things that we're doing.
Are they moving forward with the national registry of it?
Yeah. I haven't heard back from them yet about it, but we're definitely wanting to pursue that national registry. We are resurfacing currently the tennis and basketball courts at Windermere Park. So if you go out there right now and you see it's under construction, it's getting resurfaced. So that it'll get a new basketball court and new tennis courts / pickleball. People play pickleball out there as well. And secluded willow, we had talked about the playground replacement. We're also replacing the fencing that is a barrier between the pond and the park. Because it's in the line of fire of all that water, it gets rusted out pretty badly. So we're doing a lot of welding and replacement of some sections in that fencing, and it should have another 10 or 15 years of life to it. So we're working on that at secluded willow as well. Coming and goings. Luckily, there's no goings to talk about today, so that's good. Jude Fernandez is a citizen. He lives in this neighborhood right over here. He's at the rec center, or was all the time. Now we're paying him, so he's got to work instead of work out. But he's our new business ops coordinator. Loves spending time with his family. Enjoys walking hockey. He knows how to drive a Zamboni. He wanted to make sure y'all knew that. I don't think we'll have ice in this new rec center, but we did visit some places in Colorado that did. And it was nice and cool in there the whole time. So
it was your happy
I'd set up my
place.
office in there for
Yeah.
sure. In fact, if we had a Zamboni, I'd be driving it all the time.
Yeah.
That's probably why we won't have one. George Williams is up at the front. He's our new rec center tech. He's a retired firefighter, paramedic, and police officer. Moved a couple years ago from the Midwest and is a huge fan of the outdoors. Is really enjoying getting to know people downstairs, getting to know the kids, and is interested in pursuing a career in Parks and Recreation. So we're lucky to have him, especially as we continue to grow as a department, knowing that we'll have a new rec center and potentially even be keeping this one on. It'd be great to see where George fits in all that. So, and then we got a promotion, Brandon Curtis. He is our events and rentals crew lead. He loves spending time with his family. He's got 2 little babies. Enjoys watching sports. He's into investing in cryptocurrency and NFTs. I don't know if that's good or bad for him right now. But as long as it's we'll find out. He may be driving a Lamborghini soon. Yeah. He's a great guy. He's been working for us for 2 or 3 years. He was a younger guy when we first hired him, and it was a guy that made all the mistakes a young guy does. They all bump into things from time to time with the machine or get wonky with one of the machines sooner or later. But he didn't quit, stuck through, and was elected by all of his guys to be the weekend crew leader. So
Very nice.
he will be out there on the trails working events, working rentals, checking to make sure the lake and 1849 Park are clean. His shifts Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yeah. So, and then his wife works during the week, so he gets to spend time with his little babies during the week. So works out for all of us. And that's it.
All right. On to item 4B, July Parks and Recreation Month.
So the National Recreation Parks Association, NRPA, does a July's Park and Rec Month every year. It is a way to promote our department to the city, to make sure the residents know of our impact on their quality of life, to make sure council knows of our impact on the residents' quality of life, the folks that they serve. And we have done a couple different things over the years with some of the themes. We've done some programming, almost a program a day. We've done some stuff in COVID where it was more social media themed because we couldn't do a lot of programming. This is maybe a little mixture of both. We are short-staffed as a department, both with lifeguards, both with camp counselors, and some of our full-time staff. I've talked to the staff. We're going to do some programs. We are going to do some member features. We're going to do some staff features. In the past, we've done features of parks commissioners. To be quite honest, that's been pulling legs to get anybody to participate. We are totally willing to throw some parks commissioners on here as well, and you'll be highlighted on Facebook. There'll be a couple questions in a photo. It is fairly innocent, not a lot of time or effort taken. But we didn't put it up there because, in the past we've had some folks be interested. So if you are interested in answering a couple questions about what parks mean to you and why you serve on the commission board, we would love to highlight you as well. We'll have a couple programs. We'll highlight some members of the rec center. We'll highlight some staff. There may be some other things added to this in the next couple weeks. We're looking to create some shirts, just kind of like some culture shirts, some things that would make someone be proud to wear a shirt that's got the Pflugerville Water Tower or, something about the Pfluger Park sign or whatever it is. We're working on some designs. And so we may launch a shirt campaign there. But if there's anything you would like to see us announce, potentially like the tree challenge or one of the other challenges that we're working on, we could do that in the month of July as well. We'll also be doing our presentation to council. Every department gets one opportunity to present to council once a month, just to kind of give them an overview of what their department does. It just naturally fits that Parks and Rec goes in July every year, so that'll be our presentation to council. And we'll shoot you an email if y'all want to attend. You know what, to be honest, if you want to do the presentation, I'll let you know. Any questions about the, this year's theme is We Rise Up. NRPA selects a theme every year. I don't know if it's a staff favorite, to be honest, but we enjoy participating in it and understand the value of reminding citizens that we are here to improve their quality of life and we're here for them, and hopefully for the most part, people partake and enjoy the amenities that we're offering. Okay. No hands went up for Commissioner of the Month photos. So okay.
I did it last time.
I know. Okay.
Why you keep looking at me? I participated.
Okay.
All right, 4C. Discuss a potential date for a Parks Commission work session and tour schedule.
So we did this last year. I thought it was a lot of fun. We had help from planning and Sean from Parkland Development. That position's open right now. So we'll have to see what happens with that. I think planning would obviously come over and help us again. But basically it's, okay, I'm a parks commissioner and I really like parks and I really want to serve the city, but what does that mean, And how do I develop as a park commissioner to be comfortable in meetings and understanding about parkland dedication and development? And so the best way I thought to do it was last year we kind of went and we kind of had like a little boot camp or a workshop where we talked about some of the expectations of a commissioner, and then we did a tour so y'all could see some of the parks that you might not see in your normal everyday visits to the park system. And then we came back and we had a activity where we split the groups in two, and we made them developers. And we made one developer, basically, we put them in a situation where it would make no sense for them to develop a park, so they had to donate fee in lieu. And then I think the other one, we gave them pre-residential space with a lot of land to donate park space, if I remember correctly. And then y'all work with our planning staff to be the developers, to go through the process, to say, no, I want to give you fee in lieu, you know, or whatever. And, it was interesting because you kind of got to see the other side. You got to see that sometimes, like the developers that came in today, you know, they have 11 acres of land. There's overhead on that number. They've obviously got it on contract. They've negotiated a number with that owner. They're now working under a contract to see if they could get this to a spot that it works for them. They obviously are going to be 2 or 3 years before build out's complete, so they're not going to see all their money up front, but they have to pay for the park up front. They have to do a couple of other things up front. And we had costs like what it costs to develop a site and what it costs to put roads in there. And we had some, you know, if you wanted sidewalks and all those things. And once you're going through the process of the developers, you do see at times that, sure, you can look at a development and say, oh, that's a $5 million development, but it may take 4.5 to build it. And it may take 3 years to see that, you know, value come to fruition. And there may be a lot of mouths to feed on that project along the way, and you know, maybe they don't walk away with as much as you thought. So it's a fun process. It gives you a different perspective when development comes in, and you know, we want to do it again soon if y'all are interested in that. The dates we had talked about previously was August 6th. We do have a midnight masquerade murder mystery in here later on that night, so that could limit some of our staff and how late we could get out of here. I think last year we started at 9,
It was like
10?
10.
9 or 10, yeah. And we did a tour, lunch, and then we did the second half of the workshop. Saturday, August 13th, right now it looks like there's no internal conflicts. And then, you know, maybe a fall date. Is there a date in September? Or do y'all want to wait till October? You know, maybe it's a little cooler, or maybe it's, you know, school's back in session, so there's more of a, you know, a schedule going on, you know, because some people in the summer may have vacations and things that normally they wouldn't have to work around. So this is discuss only. It's not discuss and consider. It's just to get some feedback and see what y'all's thoughts are on a potential date.
I would be in favor of not doing it on the 6th, simply because staff's already busy, and I wouldn't want them to eat up their entire day.
Sure.
My preference would be August 13th. My least favorite would be the fall, just because that I'm busier in the fall.
Sure.
With
Yep.
football. So, my 2 cents.
I'm out of town on the 13th.
So 13th it is.
Ouch.
Okay.
6th works for me, not the 13th.
I think there are other dates in August too. I mean, obviously we could have done 2 dates after the 13th. I think is Labor Day weekend. That's probably not a great one. I think the 20th would be available, or maybe.
So, yeah, but that's like 2 days after this meeting, so I don't know if that's a little redundant.
So we would have had the meeting like that Thursday, and then we'd meet that Saturday. So, and if that's not a big deal, maybe the 20th is an option. That means the 28th would be the weekend of Labor Day, so that one's probably out. And then school starts, so then you're into fall dates.
I'm open
Whenever.
all of those
All
days.
those dates. Love that.
Just don't talk to me in July.
There you go.
I'd be okay with the 20th also. I mean, I'm fine with any of those, but like I said, I want to be sensitive to staff on the 6th, if we
Appreciate that.
can.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
I'm personally open for all of them, but I think I would prefer one of the October ones just for it not being 100 degrees.
Yeah.
But, and also traveling right before kids go back to school, but that's just me.
Sure. Well, we can discuss it as much as I want to discuss it, and then we can put it on a discuss and consider next time. So you even have time over the month to get some dates and bring them back and say, these are dates that work for me and these are dates that don't. We could do a doodle poll. I don't know if you've ever done one of those, but we could send that out, and y'all could fill it out over the month, and we could tell you the results at the next meeting. And so we could say these dates seem to work for all y'all, you know, and y'all can pick from there. It's totally up to y'all.
Yep.
I think that would be a great way to do it.
Okay. that's what we'll do. Doable. And then we'll put it on, discuss and consider for next month. Okay, Art, that'll work.
All right. Item 4D, discussion on an update for the tree planting challenge with Pflugerville ISD principals.
All right, I'll start. Shortly after our last meeting, I had talked to Scott, and he was saying that we really kind of needed to contact those schools pretty immediately. So between me, him, Carol, and Lisa, we did end up contacting all the schools in Pflugerville ISD. So it was 34 schools, and so far we've heard back from 13 that are interested, which is pretty awesome. A good majority of them do want to meet, but I let the ones that I was speaking to know that like we were going to meet and figure out the logistics, and then we would get back with them about what exactly the plan was. So
I had a note from two of the principals that said they had to push it up the chain to the district to get kind of a stamp of approval. So that might be something in talking to other schools that haven't responded to maybe reach up higher to say we're doing it. And
yeah,
So I talked to Brandon Cardwell a couple
Yeah.
months ago, and he gave me approval verbally.
okay.
And then when Jennifer was talking to some teachers or principals,
Yeah.
they were like, okay, but how do we vet this
Yeah.
agreement? And I was like, oh, that's a great point. So I reached out to Brandon again. I said, if there's a principal interested, what's their way of confirming that you're still good with it? And he said, send it to him directly. So Principal A can just say, hey, Brandon, I'm interested in this. I just want to confirm that you're great with it. And Brandon's going to say, yep, I've already approved it, ready to roll. So Brandon's good, and Brandon's good with any principal reaching out with him for any further questions or for just a actual physical stamp of approval that they can see in an email. And, you know, if anything ever happened, they would have permission.
awesome. Yeah. So some questions that I wanted to kind of figure out today was, first of all, like what is the max amount of trees we want to offer a single school?
I don't think there's a limit to the number of trees. The amount of trees you put is directly correlated to either how many teachers or a teacher is willing to, because let's be honest, the principal's not going to do anything with these. There's going to be a fourth grade teacher that's taking on this task, or a third grade teacher or something. And I think, my wife's a teacher, I think there's probably definitely times that a teacher would appreciate having something, gets those kids out, you know, kind of gets them out of goofing around. They get in a line, they walk outside, they water the tree, they all do whatever they do with it, and then they come back inside, you know, talk about tree health, tree growth, the impact that a tree has, you know, scientifically with our infrastructure and what we breathe. There's a bunch of different stuff they can do with that. We don't have any lesson plans or curriculum for them, but I think they could find something, and we could source that too if that was a request. But the amount of trees is going to be the amount of teachers that manage it and sightlines, because any school district employee has to walk out of that front door and have unobstructed views. So if a kid did get away, they can see it without having to bend around or try to see around a tree. So we're going to have to be comfortable putting it in a spot that a teacher's going to be able to manage it, and that's not going to affect the sightlines of a school district employee that's looking for a kid, wherever that is. I don't know where that'll be everywhere, but it'll probably be different for each campus.
Maybe we should have them make a request according to what they think they can handle.
Okay.
And then we would then see if we could, you know.
Could we set up an online form where we could send them a link and they could fill that out, and then we'd collect all the information in one spot?
I mean, right now you're talking about 13 trees, which would cost us $150 a tree.
Depending on the size, yeah. We go 10, 15 gallons,
We can do that.
20 gallons.
That we can handle. Or we could potentially ask the tree fund for it. So there's a couple of avenues that we can pursue. I'm not worried about 15 trees. That doesn't seem like a big deal. Or 15 campuses. If we're putting 15 trees a campus, that might be more costly.
That's what I was gonna say. I wasn't under the impression that they wanted one tree.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I didn't know like if we wanted like what is feasible for us. Like if we said 5 trees, if we could we do 5 trees on 13 campuses?
Knowing what we know about the tree fund, I think we could definitely make a request to the tree fund for, you know,
obviously data point one, I'm thinking about like
50 trees.
Brook Hollow and
Right.
their sort of like layout and playground. I could easily see them going, okay, we put a row of 10 trees there.
Yeah, we had one school was like, we want to put them around the track.
And what I would love to do, what I'd love to do is, okay, that's cool. Let us do no more than 5 trees per campus for year 1.
Okay.
But that allows us to engage them every year. So you want to build a shade around your track, which I actually am all for, and we do that in our park system. Participate with us for the next 5 years. You know what I mean?
like that.
And then we're asking for 5 trees a year from the tree fund. If the tree fund approves it, we're buying $150 trees, or maybe we're buying less. Maybe we're not buying full 15, 20 gallon trees. I don't know. But we get out there and help them get it planted, and then the kids start watering them. You know.
Okay, so yeah, so then just to be clear, so we're gonna purchase the tree, get the tree to the campus and plant the tree for them. And then they're in charge of care after that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm speaking on behalf of Junior, but I think we can get the trees in the ground.
Okay.
Love it. I love Junior. How great. Everyone needs a Junior in their life.
We'll talk about it tomorrow.
That's fair.
And then I'm
October?
Yeah, we'd have to start now.
Yeah.
and then how big were the trees again? I'm sorry, you said
We can go 15 to 20,
15 to
30 max, yeah. Just depends on what we want to spend.
yeah,
That's about what we use for our Arbor Day plantings.
Yeah.
30 max. Okay.
So if you've planted at Arbor Day, or you've seen those photos, I know sometimes you're like, okay, what's a 15-gallon tree look like? It's a pretty mature tree. Definitely not a sapling at that capacity.
Yeah.
It's one that needs water, needs 3 years of commitment of water. And if it gets 3 years of commitment of water, it's almost impossible to kill it. Like, if it's native, if it gets regular watering, those trees, once they get established, it's really tough to do any damage to them. A kid couldn't do any damage to them after 3 years. So climbing on them, jumping on them, they can do whatever they want to do.
And then do we want to try to do all the plantings in October, or do we want to do it all through the planting season?
I don't know, depending on how many it is,
Okay, so
we
we'll-
might not have the bandwidth for all of them in October, but starting in October, we might be able to do some on our Arbor Day. Maybe Arbor Day this year is we're doing one planting on our park system, and we're doing plantings in other. And if we get some PTA, our guys could go out and get the holes dug ahead of time, and then maybe we have some, I guess, event volunteers on site, and that person would lead the plantings of those 5 trees for that school district.
Yeah.
So we have one person from this team or whatever. It's like, okay, guys, I've already talked with Parks. They taught me how to do this. They've already put the holes in the ground. Here are our 5 trees. We're gonna plant them. We got 2 bags of mulch for each tree. This is what we're doing.
Yeah,
So,
that would be awesome. And then we're obviously just stick with native trees, right? So is that like 4 main ones that you guys do?
Junior's got
Yeah, we have a list.
8 to 12 trees that we'll
Okay.
put in the park system.
Can you guys send me that? Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to think of any question they're gonna
No,
possibly
absolutely.
ask us. So, okay. And then one other question. So the schools are accidentally contacted outside the city. What are the possible options for them? We've had 3 that have contacted us. I'm so sorry.
Emily, can you come up here? Yeah. I might need you for this one. I know.
I think
So-
I'm in trouble actually.
We have some schools that are outside the city limits, but they serve residents inside city limits. So like this may be the city limit zone and the school's here, but a person lives there and they still are zoned to that school. And so the question is, are we only going to be able to service the schools inside city limits, or knowing that there are residents at those schools, they benefit from that amenity, that planting? I know.
It's a really good question.
Because we normally don't spend money outside the city limits,
We don't.
but this would be for folks that are residents. There are kids in all these schools that live inside the city limits. They're just zoned to a school outside city limits. So that's what we're trying to figure out.
Which I think that's doable. I think what would be good is to look at the tree fund and see if there was a development that contributed in that area.
Yeah.
And then that's still servicing that area, and then it's not necessarily directly from taxpayer dollars
Yep.
to go to that, but utilize the tree fund and development from what's around that school.
I almost thought also like an MOU with the school district that we would plant some trees on their site just because we're 2 agencies that work together so much too. I don't know if there's
So
something
we're
there.
working on an ILA with the school district right now for
Yeah.
development standards, and so maybe that's something we can consider.
Okay. I don't think Jennifer wants to make sure every school that wants trees to have trees.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, school district limits and city limits aren't the same limits.
Correct.
But I didn't get in this business to tell a kid that, oh, I'm sorry, you don't live in the city limits. I
So you
can't
don't
serve
get
you. Right, yeah. So we're trying to figure out a way that we
Sorry.
can still offer that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's bad enough when you have to explain to somebody in Brookfield that they can't vote for mayor because they don't live in the city.
Right. Yeah, or you have to tell them.
But your
like, but
address
I-
is still
You have to
Pflugerville.
charge them more when they
Yeah.
rent something. Oh, they
Yeah.
love that.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So it's doable in some capacity, we think.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Maybe not the 10 trees or whatever, but yeah, just look at maybe
Okay.
a lower number.
We can figure it out.
So should I continue talking to them and being like, hey, maybe
I
like
think it
3
doesn't hurt to find out what
Yeah,
their
what they
number
want.
is. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. We'll do that.
But I would just say no more than 5 on any site for year one.
Okay, for
And
sure.
then we'll request, whatever that number turns out to be, if it's 5 or 15 or 60, we'll either look at budget funds or we'll request it through the tree fund. And then the ones that are outside the city limits, we might have to see what development was near
Can
that.
contribute.
Yeah, they can contribute to that.
I think we're lucky that you had this conversation today.
Versus?
Later on, when we agreed to like 20 trees.
Oh, yeah.
First of all.
For sure.
When there's so many interest, like super excited, interested.
I love
was
that.
like, yeah, no, I think it's
I would
great
love
too.
their participation to equal a forest. I just don't want it to do that year one.
Yes.
If they're outside the city limits, just get acreage in kind, and then we can expand the city limits.
There we
There you
go.
go.
There we go.
Yes.
We'll annex the
Do
school
that.
property.
So I'd like us to make a commitment that somebody from the commissioners will be at every tree planting. And I'll do it if nobody else wants to. But I also would suggest that we give some kind of certificate to the schools that participate. Having done statewide things for teachers, I will tell you that a certificate and a ribbon, and if you can do a pin,
Sure.
you have won the hearts and minds of the teachers of that staff. And having been a teacher myself at one point, I loved those things. But it just gives it that kind of extra layer of this is something really special, not just a tree shows up and goes in the hole and you get to water it. So, whatever we can do to make that their connection to the city that they belong to, or that some of the kids belong to, and and this is their city honoring the environment, and they're part of that.
Yeah, I mean, this is y'all's program, y'all's initiative. We're here to try to make sure that it's as successful as possible. And I love the idea of helping with curriculum or the ceremonies being more involved. And I love the idea of, you have like a Tree City USA. I'd love to see 10 years from now, you'd have a school that's proud of participating in y'all's initiative every single year. Oh, this is our 10-year, we're in the Parks and Commission tree planting program or whatever it becomes. So I think there's some really cool stuff that could happen that. And it would definitely help our tree canopy.
But George, I can't see the school. There are too many trees.
Too many trees. Yeah, that sounds like that's a good problem for us. This is a discuss only, so if you wanted to do something like that, we'd have to bring it back next time for discussion and consider. I think you have time, obviously, but thank you for that.
I can get out of
Yes,
office
ma'am.
now? Okay.
Sorry, I have one more question. So with meeting with these principals, is anybody else interested in? I mean, okay.
Well, I can definitely.
I can meet with someone.
Okay, awesome. Okay, then I'm gonna email all of you guys.
I'd be happy to as well. I don't know
Carol's
if
working
if I
on a
can,
form.
But I'd be happy to.
Okay,
You probably
then I
have an
will-
opportunity to speak here for your yours thing too, if you'd want.
I didn't know if I could bring that up or not. so
No, we'd probably, it was
I
too
was gonna
detailed.
add
Yeah,
it in as
add it
for
next time.
next
Yep,
meeting, yeah.
that'll work. Yep.
Are we
you're fine.
adding another item?
We'll add,
Not yet.
not
We
yet, we will.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, if we had been vaguer with the title, we could have, but that's pretty specific, so.
Okay. Alright.
Anything else on this one? That's cool. It's cool that's come from y'all, that y'all are running with this thing, and excited to see where it goes.
Alright, and we have 5B. Discuss and consider.
Did 5A.
Yep. Okay, discuss and consider action to place items on future Parks and Recreation Commission meetings agendas. Reminder.
Look at that. Don't you do it? So we know that we're bringing yours on.
Yeah, and I'd like that one too.
What did she say?
What was mine?
Yeah, can you restate
Yeah,
it?
so the, asking businesses for donations to the tree fund.
And she's got a letter that.
I have a letter and I'd like to move forward with getting us moving on that the same way you've been able to move with the principals.
And then you also had a recommendation off this last item to have
Yes.
you would discuss and consider having a tree
Program.
care advisory member at all plantings.
Yes, and I'd like to extend that to and develop a program.
A
To-
curriculum of some
yeah.
sort? Okay. An educational component to this tree planting.
Yeah. And I have one at home.
I think there was one other thing. Oh, it was a work session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Bee City USA?
I have that pulled up on my, I mean, I look like a psychopath because when you go and look at my, I've got like 100 tabs open, but one of them is Bee City USA. Yep.
I think that would be cool to explore.
Yeah. Okay. So probably discuss only for that one. So just to discuss Parks and Rec pursuing a Bee City USA designation.
Anything
I don't know
else?
if this is appropriate or not, but I sent you an email asking you about some zoning designations that are in places that I've always thought were parkland. Could we have you explain some of that to us at the next meeting?
I would get someone who could explain it to you at the next
Well,
meeting.
that would be great.
Yep.
I bet Emily knows somebody. We could find someone.
Would there be anything to update for the Parks Master Plan?
Yeah, I bet we would probably have, yeah, we can do a master plan update.
Wouldn't that fall under director's updates?
Yeah.
So we wouldn't have to add it
We
specifically.
could break it out though,
Okay.
for if someone from the public wanted to specifically,
Oh.
I want to hear what's said because it's broken out. We
Okay.
could.
Anybody else? No? All right. Item 6, adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. Do we have a
Second.
second? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. It is 8:14.
The motion was Carol? Or the
Yes.
motion was Michael? Motion was
Okay.
Carol.